There's a few key players who are potentially injury doubts. I'm looking at Marcus Rashford and Erling Haaland because, of course, they didn't go away with their national sides.
Yeah, you're right, Kelly. We mentioned already Erling Haaland, Marcus Rashford, who didn't play with Norway, with England. Reece James is another one that maybe you have to worry about. We saw that Marcus Rashford was back light training on Monday. You would think that by the weekend, and it's such a big game, of course, for Manchester United away at Newcastle, that it should be okay. For Erling Haaland, we don't really know yet, but again, it's Liverpool for City, such a huge game. It's hard to think that Haaland won't be there, but just keep checking, wait for the press conferences, keep checking for information where you can find them. Usually, I would think personally that both of them will start and both of them will be fit to play. I think they just also pulled out from international break just by precaution, not because the injury was bad, not because they were sidelined for a long, long time, but just not to take any risk with the national team and that they'd be ready for the weekend.
For those of us that sold Erling Haaland, yes, a reminder, that was me. It's an interesting time because I was panicking thinking I needed him back in.
You're still panicking now. You don't know what to do.
She doesn't know what to do now.
Yeah, exactly.
I just know that he's going to appear on that team sheet. I just know he's going to appear on that team sheet and he is going to score, isn't he? He's going to go absolutely crazy. You're talking to someone that saw him score 3 of his 8 goals that he got in a week just before the international break. Of course, he got a hat-trick in the FA Cup as well. Tom, I noticed you sitting there looking a little bit nervous because you've got both Marcus Rashford and Erling Haaland, or are you as confident as Jules that they're both going to be fit?
I mean, I think I've got more problems as well because just to bring up Saliba, I think.
Yeah, good point. I've got him as well.
I think there's actually. Worse, I was kind of looking. I don't think he's going to play, so I've got a lot of maybe. Might have to take a big hit this week because there's some big opportunities. But yeah, I was looking at my team and there's so many yellow things. It's so scary to see like who might not be playing.
And do you know what? This is a really good example though, Tom, because so many managers would have been thinking about bench boosting in game week 29. And then we've got all these flags on all of these kind of key players. And if you don't get a definite answer on the likes of Haaland and Rashford and Saliba, Reece James, if you've got him as well, like, you know, if you've got Emerson Royale, if you've got Foden, then suddenly you could have 5 flags. And that means you can't bench boost because now you're in a position where you can't make all of the changes that you would need to without taking a massive points hit. So I think actually these injuries coming out of international break could have quite a major impact on what FPL managers decide to do with their chips now.
Jules, give us a Saliba update. He's your boy.
I mean, Saliba has is flagged up on the game, 75% chances to play on the game. I just think they're still assessing his injury, really, that he picked up the other day, and he had a good race during the national break. Obviously, he didn't go with France despite being called up. I think it's unlikely that he will play this weekend.
Okay, so Tom, potentially some surgery to be done to both yours and my team, I think. Also, a couple of other things to mention. Not only injuries, Sam, we're recording this on Wednesday morning and some Premier League players will have only just played their final international fixtures. That's something we've got to bear in mind too. It was something that was flagged on the podcast last week.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got, I mean, just today, overnight, we've had games for Argentina and Australia. That means players like McAllister, Estupiñán, players that you really want in your FPL teams because Brighton have got a nice double game week, are halfway around the world, and not only have they just played much later than the other players that you might have in your team, but they've still got to get home. Now, all right, they're not going to be exactly flying in anything other than luxury to come home, and they'll be able to get some sleep on the planes overnight. But nonetheless, it's not exactly the best preparation in the world, is it? You know, if they're going to be landing back in the country sort of Thursday, Friday, and then they're expected to go straight into a game on Saturday, it's not ideal. And when they're coming into, you know, teams that have got backup options that they could play, you just might find yourself in a position where the players that you are expecting to play twice don't really get 2 full games. They'll likely play in the second one, of course, but it might be that they only get sort of 20, 30 minutes in the first game, which might, again, destroy some people's chip strategies if you're looking for a full squad of doubling players for a bench boost.
Yeah, we'll talk about chip strategies a little bit later in the podcast, but let's just take a look at the transfer market as it stands and just who people are rushing to bring in. And it's interesting because all of the top 10 transferred in are double game week players. The only player in there with just 1 fixture is Erling Haaland. So they're also going to be waiting very nervously on this transfer news. But that's what we expected, wasn't it, Jules? Everyone just wants to bring in double players this week.
Yeah, that's right. And rightly so. Although if you look at it, there are some really tough ones. If you think about Liverpool, for example, who play City and Chelsea, you might think that Mo Salah, it's a good time to bring Mo Salah in your team if you don't really already have him. He scored with Egypt. Okay, it was against Malawi, but he still scored, played really well. Let's not forget that this season hasn't been a great season for Mo Salah at Liverpool, but he's been scoring in the big games. He scored against City in the league, in the League Cup. He scored against Napoli. He scored against Chelsea. He scored against Spurs, a lot of the big teams. So you could say that Salah in big games this season has always delivered, or very, very often delivered. So maybe it's a good idea to bring him in because of that double game week, even if the two fixtures are really, really hard. So yeah, but we've also said all season long, Sam especially, that don't underestimate the players who have just one game this week, like Bukayo Saka, who, as you know, Kelly, is in really, really good form, of course, because you and Tom captained him in the last game week. Harry Kane has only one game this week as well. And after what happened in the international break, his record for England, all of that, you think that where Everton, Harry Kane would be so like pumped and so, you know, for his first Premier League game after being England all-time goal scorer. It's just so yeah, let's not forget that some who have just one game could be are in great form, could be very, very good. But of course, if you can, bring as many double game weekends as you can.
Tom, when you're looking at doing the transfers that you've mentioned you need to make, and you've hinted that there could be a few, will it be players that are playing twice that you're targeting?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was just trying to find the teams that have really nice double games. Obviously, I looked at West Ham and Bournemouth, trying to see if there was anyone that I fancied. I think someone like Danny Ings might find his way into my team. But I've got more problems because I'm a bit concerned about Danny Ward for Leicester. I think he got left out, right? And I'm not sure what their plans are there. So I think more so for me, it won't be taken out for the double game week. It will just be trying to find people that will actually play. So that's my concern.
Do you have any chips left?
I used the free hit really early, but I've got the bench boost still.
Oh, so you haven't got a wild card or anything that can help you sort these problems out? Yeah,
too bad for you.
I've got multiple problems, but I have got a wild card and a free hit left, so it makes me feel a little bit better. If we, not that I'm trying to rub it in or anything.
No.
If we take a look at the transfers out, with the exception of Miguel Almiron, who is injured, Ivan Toney, who is one yellow card away from getting a 2-match suspension, and then Marcus Rashford, who, as we discussed, is flagged. All the other 7 are single game week players. Sam, are there any that stand out on that list for you that you think, why are people selling them?
I mean, the 2 that Jules has already mentioned, Kane and Saka, are both on this list. And I can understand it because, you know, the appeal of the double game week is huge, right? We all want to have our players have as many minutes as possible between now and the end of the season in which they can return points for us. And neither Spurs nor Arsenal will have another double between now and the end of the season. So from that perspective, it does make sense. However, Arsenal are on an attempt to win the league. They are in the prime position to do that over Manchester City this year. They are the informed team in terms of goal scoring right now. They score for fun, particularly away from home. And I genuinely think that selling your Arsenal players this week is a big mistake. Like, I am debating with myself, and we'll talk about this more later when we get to transfers, but I want to play my Arsenal players this week. I think, you know, a game against Leeds is a great opportunity for the likes of Saka and Martinelli. And by the way, Martinelli is the 11th most transferred out player so far this week. They could do really well. Kane, are we going to see some new manager bounce from Spurs?
That was a question I was going to ask you, Sam. How do you think the Antonio Conte change will affect Spurs? Spurs fans around the world, and you, I'm sure, want to think that it's going to be positive.
I mean, I think it will be a good thing in the long run. I think, you know, we have to wait and see, don't we, how quickly that new manager bounce comes. But it's coming with Stellini and Ryan Mason, 2 managers that the players are used to, and that when Conte was off previously, they did really well under. So I suspect we'll see a bit of a bounce from Spurs, and therefore maybe it's not the right time to sell. But I can understand it because, of course, they do just have the single. But it is a really nice fixture against Everton where Kane could do incredibly well.
Yeah, it does feel like if you hold Harry Kane, it would be a really bold move to sell him, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Son's also high on that transferred out list, but of course he hasn't quite had the season that Kane has had. Okay, let's now take a look at the most important players we think that are going to double this week for us to have in our teams. Tom, I know you've got a lot of therapy, therapy. It sounds like you're going to actually counsel the team. You've got a lot of surgery to do to your team. Who are your top targets?
I think for me, I've just got to take a risk on one of the Brighton attackers. Obviously, Matoma, March, quite good candidate. I think for me, I'm going to go with Matoma just because he seems quite consistent. I think he'll definitely give me a return, and they've got some nice fixtures.
Yeah, Matoma is a good shout. Jules, who are you looking at?
James Maddison. We mentioned him a bit in the last show. The fact that he had that cap with England and did well. I mean, I think Ukraine were not at their best for sure, but England played well. I thought Maddison, even kind of slightly out of position, did really well. And again, for what we said about Kane breaking the record, I think when you go back to your club after having had a good international break with your country, especially for Maddison, I think who'd been waiting a very long time for that chance to do well. I think it boosts your confidence. You've got that momentum. I think you really eager then to, when you go back with your club and play the next league game, to show like, this is me, an England international. So I'm sure Maddison, who has two decent games, really. You think Crystal Palace away and Aston Villa at home, to just like show on the pitch with Leicester all the good things that we saw with England in midweek. So for me, Maddison it could be a very clever pick.
Oh, you're just saying that because I bought him in last week, aren't you?
You bought him because we told you to. We were like, me and Sam were just like, yeah, Maddison is great. And then we know that you brought him in.
The other thing I'll say about James Maddison, though, if you look at him over the last 4 matches, he's had 26 shot involvements. That's more than any other midfielder in the game.